Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about triggers, something called triggers. And a trigger can be anything that is an emotional or physical moment where you can kind of go into this fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. That's your sympathetic nervous system state, which is not great for overall health and well being. If you've been following me for a while, you know that chronic stress can lead to hormone imbalances, mostly lowering of sex hormones and also a reduction in thyroid hormone production. And so, when it comes to chronic stress, anything that we could do to help support our nervous system is really helpful for our overall hormone health. This can also impact our gut health as well. So that's why I'm talking about triggers today. And it's something that I love talking about in my group program, Vibrant Midlife Mastery. It's one of the modules that we go through is understanding your triggers and how to start reducing them. Today, I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview of what triggers are, how you could identify them, and then how you start to get a little bit more curious about them so that you could start to reduce the impact that they have on you. So let's get started on that. So, just starting out with the emotional triggers, and that's what we'll be mostly focusing on today. Emotional triggers can be anything like someone rejecting you or rejecting your idea. It could be someone judging you, can feel very triggering. It could be you're watching the news or social media or a show, and it could be something that maybe makes you feel less than or unworthy, feel bad about yourself. It could also be something that is kind of jarring, like seeing images of poverty or hunger, things of that sort could also be triggering, just as much as seeing someone being really successful could be triggering for some as well. Not everyone, obviously, everyone is different, but triggers are something like that, like emotional triggers, something that maybe makes you feel um, really sad or bad about yourself or angry or anxious or overwhelmed. And then it could also include music. So, hearing a song that reminds you of a traumatic event or a smell. Smell could be really potent and that could remind you of a traumatic event or something really, really uncomfortable that maybe has happened in your life before. And then there's also physical triggers. So, physical triggers can be things like IBS and Crohn's, any kind of gut microbiome upset. It could be having a food that you're really sensitive to. That could cause a physical trigger, which could also set your nervous system off. It could be parasites, molds, candida overgrowth, bacteria overgrowth. Any kind of pathogen like that. It could also be toxins, environmental toxins, and heavy metals can cause your body to slip into more of the sympathetic nervous system state where you're feeling like just this sort of chronic stress state. So now, when it comes to triggers, the physical triggers aside, physical triggers, you could simply test for those and then treat those with protocols. And that's something that I do within my practice as well. In terms of emotional triggers, what I want you to do, just first step here is where do you feel that in your body? So, say you do have this triggering moment. Some of us will feel it in our gut. Some of us will feel it kind of like in our chest area. Some of it might feel like it's showing up in our throat, like maybe it feels like we're having difficulty breathing or maybe talking or expressing ourselves in that moment. You probably experienced that. That could also be a part of that freeze response, right? You're just like frozen in place, not sure what to say because somebody just said something kind of, negative and triggering for you. So, where do you feel it in your body? That's one step. And then another one is so where do your thoughts go when you have this triggering moment? Um, just pay attention to where your thoughts go, and then also get really curious. Where did this really come from? So, something for, say, you hear a song and you feel triggered and you just have to get away from that space. Be really curious. What happened? Where did your mind all of a sudden go? Or what memory came up for you in that moment? And then jot that down in a journal. So, what we're doing is the initial step is really raising your awareness. When you become more aware and curious about where a trigger comes from, you're in a better position to either one, avoid situations that put you in that triggering moment, void relationships that make you feel triggered. And then also, um, by getting really curious about that trigger, you might uncover something that sort of takes the steam out of that trigger, right? So then that trigger becomes less than what it was. It's kind of like popping a balloon, well, or letting the air out of the balloon, right? So that's the tip for today, all about triggers. Because when we start to reduce stressors in our body is able to do so much more for us. We feel better, we feel emotionally better, we feel physically better. If you have some chronic health issues, oftentimes, unless we're talking about the physical triggers in particular, but the emotional triggers, when you feel good, some of those chronic illnesses could start to be reduced as well. So, really good tip. I think it's one of my favorite things to talk about triggers. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about glimmers. I think that's what we'll do. Talk about glimmers, sort of an opposite of triggers. Anyway, I love chatting with all of you. If you haven't already signed up for my newsletter, please do so. You just go to jessicagreenwellness.com, and at the bottom, you'll see a little sign up for a newsletter. But also, if you click on my website, jessicagreenwellness.com, you'll also find a pop up there to download your free copy of a 3-day hormone reset meal plan, which I really love. I love these recipes in it. And I'd love to get your feedback on those recipes. If you have a favorite one that you've tried and you just love and you just keep on coming back to that, please let me know because I want to make these better and better over time. And then, of course, if you're interested in my Vibrant Midlife Mastery program, it's open enrollment right now. So please feel free to join us. We've got a beautiful group of women in there, and I hope to see you soon. Okay. Bye. Take care.